Welcome to Towel Capes. I'm Cody Nestor. He's Todd Hill.
What's up, everybody?
And with Alien Romulus about to hit theaters, we thought it'd be a good time to do another Versus episode. Today, it's Alien versus Aliens, Todd.
Okay.
This time, there's a twist.
Oh.
You may have noticed you have some cards in front of you here.
I do right
So
here.
each of these cards basically have a category that we're going to talk about today. And instead of kind of like we did in our last Batman versus video, being like, hey, what's better, this or this, and kind of mostly agreeing because there's only a few answers, we thought it's time to let's argue the point, Todd.
Okay.
Let's take different sides of this. Let's argue for the defense and the prosecution.
All right.
So basically, we have a category. We'll pick the card up, and that'll tell us whether or not we have to argue for something from Alien or something from Aliens,
Okay.
based on the topics. So just a little bit of a twist. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a spirited debate going here.
Okay. All right.
So our first category, Todd. So you'll notice in front of you, I'm going to make you go first.
Okay.
You have a card that says Better Android.
I do.
All right, so Better Android is our first category. So take a look at that card, raise it up, and see what you got, and hold it up to camera. Todd has to argue for Bishop.
I'm arguing for Bishop.
All right, so Todd is arguing for Bishop. Obviously, that means that I am arguing for Ash.
Okay.
So Todd, you go first. Why is Bishop the better android?
So Bishop is almost the exact polar opposite of Ash. When you first meet Bishop, they're doing that little finger knife game.
5 finger fillet.
Yeah. Ripley automatically is very hesitant towards Bishop because of what happened to her because of Ash.
Mm-hmm.
She's very untrusting of these type of alien type life forms. They're not really androids, synthetic life forms. I guess
synthetic.
Synths.
He says I prefer to be called a synthetic person.
Synthetic person.
Yeah.
And they kind of set Bishop up as he's almost too nice.
Mm-hmm.
He's too cooperative. He's too nice towards it. You're like,
Yeah.
are they setting her up for another fuck over from one of these synths?
Yeah, it's kind of you think it's a 180 that goes back to a 360.
Right. And of course, there is that scene, at the end where her and Newt kind of make it up to the level they're getting ready to blow that place out of orbit, and Bishop has took off in the ship, and you think, oh my God, he really has fucked them over. He's left them.
Mm-hmm.
But the platform just kind of got unstable, and he flies back down, and he picks them up, and they go on off, and Bishop winds up being, a strong, sympathetic hero type character. And then he wound up back on the main ship when they dock, and it's a great scene where he just gets ripped completely in 2 freaking half pieces by the alien queen. Winds up saving Newt from getting drug out of the airlock when they let them, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Let's slow down, Todd.
Yeah.
When Ripley unleashes the airlock in the alien queen and everything gets sucked out into space, he actually winds up saving Newt, the top half of his body does.
Right.
Yeah. So Bishop, to me, is the coolest of these synthetic life forms. He's the main man.
Gotcha. Yeah, for Ash, I would argue for Ash. I mean, first off, Ian Holm. Great performance.
Great.
Just like Lance Henriksen, but a great performance by Ian Holm. The thing I like about Ash is the film doesn't really focus on Ash until Dallas's death.
Right.
He's mostly a background character except for his interactions with Kane and the Facehugger at first. He's mostly just kind of always kind of skulking around in the background. And you get Ash's turn is thankfully it's not really foreshadowed at all. He's just a science officer, right? So his interest in preservation in the alien species is kind of somewhat understandable.
Right.
You get that little line from Dallas that he was put on the ship a couple of days ahead of the mission, kind of launching. So you're little sus,
Right.
little sus, but it still paints him more as a company plant than anything else, anything more nefarious. He's quiet. He's always just he's just around. Parker wasn't fond of him. What's that dude's name? Damn it. I was all of that last time. I was I got to remember this dude's name. Parker's name. The guy from James Bond.
Oh, Yaphet Kotto.
Yaphet Kotto, yes.
Yeah.
Parker's not fond of him whatsoever. Until Ripley visits Mother, he's really just a background character, and then he goes from 0 to 100.
Right.
When Ripley visits Mother. And that turn is great. It starts off really creepy with him just kind of popping up beside Ripley as she's talking to Mother. And it just kind of devolves from there. And not only do you see not see Ash's turn covering, you definitely don't see that he's an android. Because you don't know the rules of this universe at all at this point.
Right.
You don't know the androids in the universe, synthetic persons are a thing. So how would you ever expect him to be an android? So you're why is he bleeding this white stuff?
Right.
And then him, the performance of him malfunctioning, flapping around, sounding like a bee, where he's all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Like it's just great. He's just spilling milk all over the place, and like just a very sinister character. And his last line is great when they kind of plug him back in. He's just a head on the table, and he's like, you know, you have my sympathies. Like just a great little
Right.
last line for Ash. Just like synthetic coldness personified in my opinion.
Nice argument.
So, yes. So, this is up to you folks at home. Tell us in the comments maybe which you prefer, who won the debates of each topic we got here. Is there anything that I said about Ash that you would have said about him? Because I think you covered pretty much all my Bishop points. I was wondering if you were going to throw in the fact that he saved Newt.
Yeah.
Not only, he saved Newt twice, really.
That's right, he did.
Yeah, he saved her twice. He's the one that fixed that dish. He crawled through the pipe.
That's
he
right.
Fixed the dish. Like, so, yeah.
He crawled out there and fixed the dish. Yeah.
You covered about all my Bishop points. So
Could you understand my Bishop points? I did get a little stammery. I'll try to do better.
All right, Todd. So your next card, you have better male lead.
Better male lead.
So let's see what we got. Who you got? Dallas or Hicks?
I have Dallas.
Dallas. All right. So that means I have Hicks. So, Todd, what is your argument for Dallas being the better male lead? Actually, one question before we go back. I should have asked you before. What is your opinion? Who is the better android, really? Is it Bishop or Ash?
I actually prefer Ash, honestly.
I think I prefer Ash,
Yeah.
too. Like, I mean, Bishop is great, but Ash is like...
I mean, Lance Henderson is great, and Bishop was a great character, but my personal preference is Ash.
Gotcha. I forgot to ask you that. I'm going to ask you that as we go. All right, better male lead, though. Argue for Dallas here. Why is he the better male lead?
So Dallas, besides being the OG, you always got to have to go with the OGs on any of this stuff, right?
No.
Or do you? As portrayed by Tom Skerritt. Tom Skerritt, great actor.
Yeah.
You know, he is the lead man, you know, the head man on the Nostromo, and you just kind of get at the beginning just the feeling from Dallas that he's just the company man. He's the guy in charge of the ship. He's the guy in charge of the crew. They're just out there to do their job, make their money, and get back to home. Mm-hmm. But then the face huggers start showing up. And then all that shit starts falling apart. And you kind of see the leadership of Dallas kind of come into play. You know, you see how much he cares for this crew. You know, how much the lengths he's willing to go to kind of self preserve himself and his crew until, unfortunately, he runs up a xenomorph and he's taken out. Right.
That great shot.
Yeah, it's like, Dallas, I've been waiting for you.
Welcome. Yeah.
But, you know, Dallas, I thought, you know, strong character. You know, Ripley, obviously, of the two, ends up being the more important character here. I think she was kind of the second in command to Dallas. Or did you go Dallas, Ash, Ripley?
Yeah, I think she's listed as... No, I'm wrong. I'm thinking about Hicks. I think she was second in command, yes.
Yeah.
Except for when it was Science Matters.
So, basically, Dallas is super important because he has to die so
Right.
Ripley can take over. So... Dallas all the way.
Gotcha. One thing I had about Dallas, it's kind of crazy how similar our notes are. I didn't know his name was Arthur Dallas.
Oh, I didn't know
Arthur Dallas. So I've got Hicks, which I love me some Dallas.
Okay.
But I love me some Hicks.
Yes.
I love me some Hicks. Corporal Dwayne Hicks, of course, Michael Biehn. If there's like a much more iconic, like muscled up Arnold Schwarzenegger action guy of the 80s, it's Michael Biehn. Like your everyman action guy,
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah.
It's Michael Biehn. Like he oozes cool in the movie. He's so cool he can just sleep through like a landing in atmosphere.
Yeah, right.
He's just sleeping through it. He kills a xenomorph in one of the most badass ways by sticking a shotgun in its mouth. One of the coolest shots of that film.
Right.
He gets thrust into command, but he runs with it. You know, he makes good decisions. Mostly trusting and listening to Ripley is his best decisions.
Right.
Someone that actually knows what's going on. I like that he helps Ripley actually level up. He teaches her how to use a pulse rifle.
Yeah.
Teaches her all about this, so that kind of helps her level up her character. I like that he did what I would have done. He was ready to kill Burke. I would have shot Burke right in the face.
Yeah.
But Ripley kind of stops him. But he was definitely ready to kill Burke.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, he's also the only Colonial Marine to actually survive. Now, a lot of that was because he got a lot of help from Ripley after he got his little acid bath. But I mean, like, just as far as like coolness, a cool character, like, I mean, if I wanted to be like anybody in Aliens in the film Alien, if I didn't want to gender swap myself, I want to be Hicks, of course.
Gotcha.
You want to be Hicks. So,
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, I think it's Hicks. I actually think it's Hicks. Honestly, are you a Dallas or Hicks guy?
I'm a Hicks guy as
Yeah,
well.
okay, yeah, I think so. Yeah, but it's crazy how similar our notes. I don't think I have anything else because like you had pretty much my thing about Dallas being like I wrote he's just a man trying to make his way in the galaxy. He's a guy you want to have a beer with, that kind of thing. So like it's funny how similar
we
we've
was
got
on
some
this.
of this. All right, our next category is better scene, Todd. Better scene.
okay.
So it's the Last Supper from Alien versus the Med Bay or the Facehuggers in Med Bay scene. So what did you get?
I have the Med Bay scene.
That means I have the Last Supper.
Last Supper.
That means I have it a lot easier. All right, Todd. So argue for the Facehuggers in Med Bay. How's that the better scene?
Okay, the Med Bay scene is proof to me that James Cameron wasn't above inflicting a little bit of that old school horror into this action blockbuster. I mean, you've definitely got that kind of serene scene where Ripley kind of goes in there. She's kind of comforting Newt. They kind of fall asleep together. And that smarmy, sleazy-ass Burke wanting to make sure he gets
All right.
some kind of alien back down to Earth. He's going to, okay, maybe we can impregnate both of these two. So he kind of lets the old facehuggers loose in there. And you kind of get that talk, this kind of crazy like scene where like, where is it? Is it over there? It's over here. It's rattling over here. It's rattling over there. And then it just kind of comes right towards camera, gets Ripley right around the neck. And, is it going to impregnate her? Is this going to happen? And I think, was it Hicks that actually comes in there and gets that thing, shoots it off of her face?
Yeah, they pry it off and Vasquez shoots it.
Vasquez shoots it.
Because Hicks does a dive through the window.
They throw it back over and it starts scampering back again. And I think that's when they obliterate it.
Yeah. And there's a second one, too.
Yeah, there is another one loose in there, too. But it's just
Why am I helping you?
Yeah, why are you helping? Why didn't Todd do his homework? I'm just kidding. But it's just a nice shot. It's a nice frantic scene because it's popping off over here. It's rattling something over there. Where is it? Where's it at? Where's it at? Oh shit, there it is.
Right.
Oh shit, there's another one.
Yeah.
It was great. It was great.
Right.
It was a great scene. And like I say, it was a little bit of that horror element that I think Cameron kind of worked back into this flick as well. It's not just a pure action flick, I don't think anyway.
Yeah, I agree. The Last Supper scene, I don't have to do a lot of heavy lifting.
You ain't got to do a lot here.
This scene speaks for itself. It is the quintessential iconic scene. It's one of the most iconic and well-known scenes in cinema history, one of the most shocking scenes in cinema history. So once Kane actually wakes up from the facehugger being on his face, once he actually wakes up, part of you is like cautiously hopeful that he's okay, but the other part is like you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like what's going to happen to this guy? You don't know what's going to happen. He starts coughing. You're like, okay, is he choking? Then he starts like writhing around. Is it a seizure? No, because when the blood like kind of sprays from his chest, you get blood spraying everywhere, spraying on Lambert. I don't think that actress was even ready for that. I think if I remember
that's a real shot.
Yeah, real reaction.
Yeah.
And then you see it. This little yellow penis with teeth. just as mean as the day is long. Blood is everywhere. I love the little like part of like, John Hurt, obviously great actor, Kane's arms just shaking there. And your brain doesn't know how to compute what you just saw. I mean, it's literally like a perfect scene. And I just imagine being able to see it for first time as an unjaded audience member in 1979. Like imagine seeing that in theaters in 79, not with all the years of films that have followed it and all the things that have happened and not being jaded. Imagine seeing that film.
Yeah.
Like that would have blew your freaking mind. So like for me, I think that's why The Last Supper's better. It's obviously The Last Supper though.
It's The Last Supper.
Even though Med Bay is a great scene.
I tried my best.
Yeah, I know. Like it's hard.
The Last Supper is the greatest one.
I think I had pretty much almost what you had kind of for Med Bay. Just kind of her setting off the sprinklers and the fire alarm, that lighting and stuff makes it a lot.
Oh yeah.
Makes it better and stuff. But I think we pretty much have about the same argument there. All right, Todd. Next category, better setting. What did you pull, my friend?
Let's see what I got here. I have Hadley's Hope.
I have the Nostromo.
Okay.
All right. So, Todd, why is Hadley's Hope a better setting than the Nostromo?
So you kind of, it's got polar opposites again. You got the confinedness of the Nostromo with more of the openness of Hadley's Hope, and it's like this was a lived-in place. This was these people's homes. This was their complex, and you kind of see some of that stuff with broken pictures and little mementos just kind of tossed aside.
Donuts on desks.
Yeah, donuts on desks. Just like these people were taken out quickly and they were taken out violently, and just like it was just one day it was life as normal, and then in a blink of an eye they were gone. And you can kind of see that as the Space Marines and the crew kind of make their way through that, and then it even carries on over to the portion of it where they all took them to impregnate them and have their offspring hatch out of them. The way there's kind of this flung up against the wall and this dangling there. It's just the whole entire thing is just a cool concept. Even right down to at the end where you get to the queen's hooked up to her little birthing canal, and it's just all very cool. It's very well shot. It's very well lit. It's very well set up, I think.
I gotta hand it to you, Hill. I like that argument. I really was hoping I wouldn't get the Hadley's Hope because I had nothing. I really had nothing other than just the variety of locations. I really like your argument for the human aspect. It's one day was life as normal, and then all of a sudden all these people are dead. I like that. Kudos to you on that, sir. You kind of swayed me, but I still think the Nostromo is better. Kind of as you mentioned, it's a stark contrast. It's the claustrophobia factor.
Yeah.
It's the long hallways. It's the interconnected shots. It's the claustrophobia with plenty of places to hide for not only the human characters, but especially the xenomorph has plenty of places to hide, plenty of places to jump out on you at. I was kind of reading some behind the scenes. It was kind of designed, Ron Cobb designed it, and it was made to feel like a big submarine. It does have that kind of vibe, that militaristic vibe almost. Lots of interconnected, largely sealed kind of hallways and corridors, and it's just that claustrophobia and how it's lit and all the smokiness and all that kind of stuff that you get. It's just perfect. Some other things I didn't really know about it. Apparently, it was going to originally be called the Snark or the Leviathan.
I'm glad they didn't go with the Snark.
Nostromo, apparently Italian for shipmate.
Okay.
And of course, the big selling point of the Nostromo, it had a cat on board to control rodents.
That's right.
In Jonesy. But yeah,
Jonesy.
It's complete opposites. It's confined space, the claustrophobia of it, the nowhere to go. There's nowhere else to go. They didn't have a lot of places to go on Hadley's Hope, but you had a lot of different places on there. You could go to med bay, you could go to operations, you go to this. You ain't got nowhere to go on the Nostromo, Todd. It's just hallway after hallway, sealed room after sealed room, and it's a very confined little space. There's nowhere to go.
That's right.
And no one's going to hear you scream.
That's it.
Which is it for you?
The Nostromo.
Okay. I figured it was too. Yeah, the Nostromo is it's just classic. It's just so classic, and it's just so claustrophobic, and it's just I don't know, it just all works. I mean, I like Hadley's Hope. It fits for that story, but yeah, I think it's really the Nostromo too. Next category, better expendable cast.
Okay.
So Todd, what did you draw on better expendable cast?
I drew the Colonial Marines.
Okay, so that means I got the Nostromo crew.
Okay.
So, Todd, why are the Colonial Marines the better expendable cast compared to our Nostromo crew?
Again, this is one of those, I feel like it's a polar opposite. The Space Marines are, they're like the military's finest that they've got right now. They're the best of the best. They're the Marines. Better than that, they're the Space Marines. You got Hicks, you got Vasquez, Apone, Hudson, Gorman. All of them, specialists in their own field. Hicks, with the loss of Apone, has to kind of come into power, kind of has to lead this ragtag bunch. Mm-hmm. And, you got all those different personalities kind of conflicting at times. You got, I think it was Hudson is portrayed by, his name is Bill Paxton, yes. Kind of flipping out, kind of losing it. You got to rein that guy back in. You got to somehow lead what you got left through this just horrific incident that's happening. And, it's great, and to me, one of the biggest selling points of the Space Marines back when I first saw this was it was the closest thing that I thought I'd ever see to an actual G.I. Joe team.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's why I think the Space Marines are probably the coolest of we would say the expendable crews in these two movies.
Okay. For my argument for the Nostromo crew, obviously you got Arthur Dallas, Ellen Ripley, Joan Lambert, Samuel Brett, Gilbert Kane, Ash, and Dennis Parker. I think you had good chemistry between the cast. The cast. You really kind of believe that they all have like lived and worked in close proximity with each other for a long while. There's like kind of a little clique. You've got more like you got kind of Ripley and Dallas. You've kind of got Kane and Lambert seem to be more of a pair. Brett and Parker seem to have their little clique, and then you've got Ash just again like skulking around. But you kind of feel like they've just kind of been working and living in the same location for a while, and maybe sometimes they start to grate on each other a little bit. I think their decision making as a group kind of ranges from poor to decent. Sometimes they make some poor decisions.
Right.
Their teamwork, I would say, ranges from like subpar to decent at points. But it's really your argument: is it better to see a bunch of supposedly capable Marines getting taken out, or just a bunch of average Joes that are thrust into a situation? Joe's just there to like do their job. I think it makes it easier to empathize with them as an audience because, like, they're just like me and they did.
Right.
And I'd probably die in the same situation.
Right.
And like you have to ask yourself, with no training, you can more visualize yourself in that position. Like, what would I do? What would I do differently than Lambert or Ripley or whatever, anything else? If I was Lambert, I would have moved out of the way of the fucking flamethrower so Parker could have flamethrowed its ass. But anyway, but yeah, and then that crew had to try to survive with no real weapons other than a couple flamethrowers that really don't get used too much. They were completely unprepared for the situation.
Right.
And one of them made it out, and then the Marines were completely prepared for the situation, and only one of them made it out.
Right.
So it's like, at the end of the day, I think it's Nostromo. What's your real answer, Todd?
Space Marines.
Yeah, just because they're more interesting. I mean, you got like Vasquez.
They're way cooler, I guess.
I mean, they're cool. It's the cool factor. Yeah, it's definitely the cool factor of the Space Marines. You got pulse rifles, motion detectors.
Yeah.
Classic stuff. Also, you didn't mention, I had a note, you didn't even mention the APC, the Armored Personnel Carrier.
Oh, yeah.
They got a fucking Batmobile.
I'm sorry.
Running around.
I'm sorry.
Running around. The biggest thing I had to, some dumb decision making from the Colonial Marines. Once you know you can't shoot your weapons in that little reactor thing, get out. Don't keep going in.
Right.
Yeah, once you know that, get out.
That's true.
Our next category is better xenomorph depiction. So
Okay.
Todd, we're getting to the nitty gritty. What do you have for better xenomorph depiction?
I have the perfect organism.
So that's Alien, and I have Bug Hunt from Alien. So why is the singular xenomorph the perfect organism? Why is that the better depiction of xenomorph?
Besides being the original, the OG.
Right.
But I think it more fits what they were going for in this type movie. It was the single face hugger, that one egg, that one hatch. You had the one infestation, which kind of manifests itself.
Words are difficult.
Words are difficult for Todd, but manifests itself into the xenomorph, and it kind of fits the setting for the movie they're going for here, for the more horror type element of this movie as compared to, say, the more action oriented Aliens. Mm-hmm. And another thing I really like about the perfect organism here and Alien in general is, I don't know if this was just maybe a cue, maybe they picked up from Jaws, or there was just limitations at the time, but you don't really get a lot of massive, this is xenomorph,
right.
Big and full, it's
right.
just a glimpse here.
Rarely seen,
but often
less
implied.
Less is more. Yeah.
Less is more, and it works. It's just I think it plays better here for this setting and this type horror type sci-fi if it's just one single perfect organism that's infect this one member of the crew, and then we kind of find out hey, our intentions all along was trying to get a hold of this thing and maybe get it back down to earth so we can study it, use it. That's why I think it works better.
Gotcha. I would argue Bug Hunt. It's how do you like your xenomorphs? Is less more, or is more?
Right.
And in Aliens, you get more.
More.
And this is where Aliens too, because if you think about it, Aliens, that's where they coined the term xenomorph. It's like it got a name. In Alien, it was just a creature. It was an alien, literally.
True. Yeah.
You get the word xenomorphs here. You get in Aliens, you get to learn more about them. You kind of see what do they do? They prey. They don't always just straight out kill. They're more about increasing their numbers. They're more about making more drones. You see how they multiply. That they have a queen. You see the life cycle basically. The queen hatches eggs. The drones go out, bring people back. The eggs infect them to make more drones, so on and so forth. Exactly. It's a vicious circle of life there. And you also see a little bit that they can communicate on some level, because there's that scene where Ripley is in there rescuing Newt, and there's like the queen, and you have two xenomorphs coming from either side, and Ripley's like, I'll burn these fucking eggs, bitch.
Right.
And the queen's like, and they pull back, so like there's some kind of communication there, and they're less in Aliens, they're less perfect organisms and more hard to kill cockroaches.
Gotcha.
So, and then like again for Colonial Marines, for your big action movie, you can't just have one running around. You need the film wouldn't have worked if it was just one of them. I feel you needed more.
True.
You needed more. You needed to amp up the action. You needed more of them running around.
Oh yeah.
That shot where Hicks opens that panel and sees them all like scurrying above them. That's a great fucking shot.
Yeah.
So like for me, I think more is more. I think more is better here for Bug Hunt. Which is it really for you, Todd?
I really go back to Aliens.
This is the one I have so much, like I'm very torn on, because like I do like the solo element. I like, that it's just smart, it's strong, it's rarely seen. And there is an argument to like, are things less or more scary the more you know about them?
True.
Is it more scary because you don't know about it? You don't know what it does. You don't know what it's capable of. So like,
right.
I'm torn. I think I kind of agree with you. I think it's more the solo alien kind of horror there. But like, I mean, I believe everything I said about Bug Hunt. I believe it in my heart.
I believe it too, sir.
Our next category, Todd, we have Better Ripley.
Better Ripley.
Todd, what did you draw here?
I drew Ripley from 1979.
That means I have Ripley from 86. So you have Alien, I have Alien. So why is Ripley 79 the better Ripley?
It's the OG Ripley. I mean, come on. No, come on. Here you definitely get, this is the early version of Ripley. At the beginning of this, she hasn't gone through what she's gone through in Aliens, but she's getting ready to go through it. Mm-hmm. And you kind of see at the beginning, she's just, kind of a capable member of the crew. She's second in command to Dallas. And then all the shit starts happening. We get the facehugger infestation. We get what happens to Kane. We got the creature loose on the Nostromo. They're not xenomorphs yet. It's just that creature. Right. And Ripley's kind of fighting to get to assume command, to get everybody to kind of get in line with what she wants to do, how she thinks they need to handle this situation. And she's trying to get access to Mother, and then she has that confrontation that eventually happens with Ash, and all that stuff kind of just. This is the beginnings of her becoming, I think, one of the best protagonists, female or male, in cinema history, and it starts right here. Yeah. And it comes down to just her right there at the end, pretty much to self-sustaining. Just she can't fight it, she can't kill it. She's just going to blow the ship and get the escape pod, and her and the cat, and get the hell out of there.
Yeah, right.
And if for no other reason, here I go. You get Ripley down to her panties. I mean, come on. But for me, it's 79 Ripley. This is Ripley Begins right here, folks. Right. And this is the best version of Ripley, I think.
Yeah. The argument for Ripley 86 is this is the further evolution of what you said, of a already iconic cinema heroine into solidified badass status. Yeah. This levels her up. She's using pulse rifles. She's walking around in the loader. Get away from her, you bitch. Yeah. She's completely leveled up. The hair's shorter and the trigger's shorter, Todd, if you know what I mean.
I got you.
She's more prepared. She's facing down her demons and everything that it's a catharsis for her to go back to LV-426 to kind of face off against these aliens, to eradicate them off the face of the earth, or the face of that planet, I should say. And it's really just, how do you like a less inexperienced, someone learning on the job, or do you like someone that's like started to become good at what they do? And Ripley in this film, and then she also gets someone to protect too. Depending on what version you watch, you may or may not get the Ripley had a daughter scene. I think that's only in like the other cuts of it.
Yeah.
But like, if you get that cut of it, and the fact that she was, we see her in Alien. She's 57 years later after she escaped the Nostromo. She had a daughter that died, and now she gets to kind of look after and take care of Newt. That gives another little element to her character.
Yeah.
And then some of the stuff you said, the great interaction she has with Bishop and not trusting him based off the stuff that happened with Ash and not trusting synthetics and all that. She has a great kind of chemistry with Hicks. You could see them kind of like in a better situation. And then kind of to your last point, do you like your Ripley in white panties and a white tank top, or gray panties and a gray tank top, Todd?
Right.
Take your choice. You can't go wrong either way. But I just think that more capable Ripley, her going back, Hicks is down. She arms herself. She straps together a pulse rifle and a flamethrower. Yeah, she's got all those grenades. She's got those marking flares to find her way out. Super capable. She kills the alien queen. Like, it's Ripley 86.
Yeah.
It's Ripley 86. What is it really for you, Todd?
It's Ripley 86.
It's Ripley 86. Yeah. That's her final evolution. I really, it's been a long time since I watched Alien 3 or any of that stuff. I just kind of tune out of the franchise after Alien 3. After Aliens, I should say. That's why I'm looking forward to Romulus. It's kind of in between these two.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it's Ripley 86. I love Ripley 79. Don't get me wrong, but like, just her evolution and coming a complete badass is just chef's kiss. 2 more to go, Todd. Our next category is better alien genre. So the better genre of film here. What did you pull?
I got horror.
So you got Alien. That means I got action for Aliens. So why is horror the better genre for an alien film?
It kind of plays back into the strength of the perfect organism. You know, it's this one infestation. It's this one creature. It's the confined claustrophobic setting of the Nostromo. It's all those little jump scares, is it in that corner? Is it in that corner? Is it above me? Is it below me? You know, where is it at? It's the confined spaces. It's the way it's lit. It's the way, actually, the crew and all those sets, they just look lived in and dirty and grungy, and it looked like that ship's, but it'd be taken out of circulation, to be honest.
Right, yeah.
It looks that old.
Yeah, right.
But it's just the way I think Ridley Scott directed this thing. I think, sci-fi action, which we got later, don't get me wrong, it was amazing, but I think the roots of this series will always be firmly planted in sci-fi horror, which has kind of got me really excited for Romulus, because I think we're going back to more of those sci-fi horror elements.
Yeah.
It's definitely, I think, the perfect setting for this type of setup, and it just worked. It clicked with me, and it still clicks with me today.
Yeah, strong argument. I think it's really how you like your alien. Do you like the Jaws approach, the less is more, the rarely seen, the vicious and smart, or do you like the collective, the hive mind, the drones, seeing the inner workings of the alien, seeing what they do with their prey, seeing how they take these poor colonists and what they do to them, impregnate them to grow their numbers, and is it better to know more about them? So my argument is it's better to know more about your enemy. It makes them easier to kill. The action, I think for in Aliens, I'm like, it's still, watching it last night, it's still top tier stuff.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and there's a few shots in Alien that are like, okay, that's a little dated, like that's a little, you could tell it's of its time, but there's no like Korean shots. There's still some stuff like watching, I'm like, this film looks still beautiful. Hadley's Hope is a little bit more, it does have a less lived in vibe than the Nostromo. Mm-hmm. It's more clean in areas. It's more pristine than like something you would get in the Nostromo, but like, your Colonial Marines going in, Ripley's full evolution. You don't get a synthetic bad guy. You get the little smarmy little Carter Burke.
Oh yeah. Paul Reiser. You
get that. But the genre of action, I think, also equally fits the Alien franchise just as much as horror does. It's an argument that I would that I would say for the action side of it, I think you're just it's about what flavor you like better,
True.
more or less. And I
Right.
think in this situation, I think going for more can't go wrong there either.
Okay.
Which is it, though, Todd?
It's horror for me.
It's less. Yeah, I was kind of struggling with that. I got to be honest. It's less. Like, I love the action, don't get me wrong, but like the horror element of it, I think, is it's not only just horror, just the actual scares and the tension and things like that. It's also the body horror stuff. You don't get as much of that in Aliens as you do as Alien. The only real body horror as much you get in Aliens, if I'm not mistaken, is like that when they find that one settler girl and she's like, "Kill me," and it like pops out of her chest.
Right.
Like the body horror elements, I think works. Like I still like some action, but I think if I had to make a pie, it would have about 3/4 of like just straight horror, and like 1/4 of it would be action.
Gotcha.
All right, Todd. Last one here.
Last
the big
one.
one. The last category is better film. So, what did you pull out, sir?
I have got Alien.
You've got Alien, which means I've got Aliens. Todd, why is Alien the better film?
Alien 1979 is probably my personal favorite Ridley Scott film ever. And we're talking the guy that did Blade Runner, Gladiator. Did he go back? He didn't do 2049, did he? No, that was a different director.
No, that
right?
was Denis Villeneuve, yeah.
Ridley Scott has actually returned to this franchise at least a couple of times. I think he did Alien Covenant
And
Prometheus, and he's still chasing his masterpiece, which is 1979 Alien. It's one of the finest sci-fi horror films, if not the finest sci-fi horror films ever made. It's everything I've already mentioned about the single perfect organism, the single infestation, the claustrophobic setting of the Nostromo ship, trying to figure out where that thing is, the jump scares here and there. Where is it? Where's it at? Is it here? Is it there?
Yep.
The chest burster scene, often mocked, often spoofed. People have tried to imitate it, but they've never duplicated it. The probably most iconic scene in any of these films in this series, it's 1979 Alien all the way.
Yeah. As far as Aliens go, it's hard to get better sci-fi action.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a better sci-fi action. And these two films work like almost like the Terminator films would work, where they're both, you could argue they're both on the same level. Some put one higher, some put one a little lower. But like as far as a sequel that serves, that could almost be argued to be better in the original in some ways, like I think Alien kind of set the standard for that. Like Aliens it's not nonstop action. You do mix in a little horror element with the med-based stuff. You got a little bit of the body horror, just a little bit that I mentioned before.
Yep.
But the action, like seeing a highly trained group of military Marines, these hard testosterone fueled badasses, especially Vasquez. She's the most testosterone fueled somehow. Seeing them getting systematically taken out and not being able to come up and combat a threat like these xenomorphs and not knowing really what to do and being completely unprepared and unexpected for what they're going to find. And again, some of the things I mentioned before, seeing Ripley kind of elevate herself, seeing Sigourney Weaver really continue to inhabit that role, continue to become more and more of a badass. And you get the soft side of Ripley too, with her and the stuff with Newt that we never really got in Alien. She was just a woman. She was out to kind of save her crew and herself as much as possible. But here she has a surrogate kind of daughter that she's kind of looking after. She has a little bit of that relationship with Hicks. Like overall, it's just like damn near the perfect action film. Some of the most iconic shots that you'll see in sci-fi action are from the Aliens film. Like at the end of the day, it's another classic of its own genre, just as Alien was a classic of its own genre.
Yeah.
All right, Todd, which is it, though? Which is the better film?
It's Alien.
It's Alien, yeah. Yeah, it is. I mean, I love Aliens, and I was watching it last night, but I'm like, there is such a difference between them, and I'm like, just the it's not, and I wouldn't even call Alien a slow burn. It's just perfectly paced, to go from to introduce your characters, to introduce the setting that you're in on the Nostromo, on this this freighter, this mining freighter, and then to you're on LV-426, you're at the beacon, then you get your first kind of what the fuck is this thing on its face, and then just it just devolves from there.
Right.
It's just perfectly paced. There's not really any wonky shots. Sometimes people argue about the hug me shot. It's a little like, but like, I mean, it's just like perfect, like it's perfectly paced. Like the scares are there. The tension is there. Like, I think of the two, and like like you were saying, that the way that it's lit and the way it's like the grunginess and the lived in, like I think it just aesthetically looks even better than like the amazing stuff that you get in Aliens.
Yep.
I think for me, it's Alien at the end of the day is the better film,
Yeah.
but like they're 1A and 1B. Like,
Oh, yeah,
there's,
definitely.
Like I love them both, but like literally just watching them both again over the last 2 days, I'm like, if you could only put one in a time capsule, I think you have to put Alien
I think you're right.
in a time capsule.
Yeah.
If only one could survive an apocalypse, you know what I mean? I think it would have to be Alien for me.
yeah.
It's just the OG. It's the classic. It did for what Jaws did for sharks. It did that for alien creatures.
Right, yeah.
If that makes any sense, Todd.
It does.
I think it's Alien at the end of the day. Anything else to add here? I think we made pretty strong cases all around. I did my best for some of the Alien stuff. Some of it, like, I listen. I love Alien, but like sometimes it's hard to argue against the OG in some of these situations.
Only thing I like to add is now I really have a lot of heat for Romulus. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I was looking last night, and there's a lot of like positives, a lot of 10 out of 10s floating around, but sometimes those early impressions can be misleading. But from everything from the marketing and the trailers, like it looks like it could be possibly the best film of this year. Deadpool and Wolverine is right now in that spot, but I hope Romulus takes that.
So just to throw out there, I've heard that this is supposed to take place after Alien, but before Aliens.
Yeah,
Okay.
sitting right there in the middle,
Right in the middle.
in the
Okay.
sweet spot, baby.
Okay. I like to say, I'm looking forward to it.
Same here. We'll be back. Hopefully, it'll be next week we see that.
I think so, yes.
So we'll be back with a video and our take on Alien Romulus here very soon. I think we'll call it a wrap for this episode, Todd. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Feel free to send us an email and get in touch with us on social media. Towel Cakes will return. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye, guys.
See you guys.